So we're a single income family. My income, my wife is a stay-at-home mom to our two kids. We have one is under 3, she's 2.5, and then we have he's going to be 8 months here in a few days. But so we were driving the other day, and my wife mentioned to me possibly she's always been a stay-at-home mom since we've had our kids. But my wife mentioned to me recently possibly wanting to go back to work, which is fine. I mean, if she wants to go back to work, then I have no problem with that. It might be kind of difficult financially, but we can figure that out. But I guess I was just wondering, like, how should I... she hasn't said anything to me since about it, but I think the stay-at-home mom thing is becoming a little overwhelming for her.
Yeah.
Our youngest child is, he's fine. Like, there's nothing medically wrong with him, but he's a lot for sure. He wants to be held 24/7, and if he's not being held, he starts screeching. So he's a bit much. So I guess I just wanted to ask, how should I best be there to support her in that possible transition?
James, you're an awesome husband, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a guy that loves his wife and wants to honor her. And you, like all of us new dads, get stuck in those moments where it's like, I don't know the right thing to say, I don't know the right thing to do. And I don't know, James, if you're like I was back when we had little kids, but it felt like I could see a clear solution to a thing. And I knew just being like, why don't you do this? I know that wasn't the answer. And so I kind of would get stuck and spin. So thank you so much. Here's the path I would take. I would want to know, do you want to go back to work because you find purpose and fulfillment in a career? Like, how can I love you in this transition? I think you literally say those words. You mentioned going back to work. I would love to hear more. Can you tell me more about that? The question I would want to know is going to work a justifiable escape from the madness that is day in and day out with a 2.5-year-old and an 8-month-old? Because if it is, let's seek to solve for that. Let's seek to solve for, we're going to come up with some extra money, and we're going to get babysitters. You're going to go 2 days a week to hang out with other moms. We're going to put our kids in a Tuesday, Thursday school. We're going to figure out some things we can do to give you a break. It's very common for mothers, new mothers especially, to drown in what I would call loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
They just suffocate, and they think it's the kids. They are so lonely. And the way we've set up our society is if a woman wants to be a stay-at-home mom, the default setting is you go inside this box at your house with these kids and you never come out. And it's insanity. It's madness. It's not how people have lived for all of human history. There was wives and aunts and sisters and neighbors and grandmothers. There was so many people that gave you breaks and loved on your kid and punished your kid and supported your kid and taught your kid. And now we just set it up to where it's like you close this door and it's all you. It's madness. And so I would want to know, is that the sense that you're going through? Or is she thinking, man, I loved being at work. I felt the purpose there. I want to get back into that grind, and I loved it. And I'm even embarrassed to say that because I know, and by the way, James, you've heard me say this on the show, the modern mom can't win. Because if she's at home, people are like, why aren't you working and contributing and financially? And if she's at work, they're like, oh, you're just going to let somebody else raise your kid. Like, you can't win. And so it's letting her know, I know the whole world is yelling at you from every direction, I want you to know I love you and I'll support you and I'll walk with you, but I want to make sure we're solving the right pain in your heart, in your chest. And then just shut up and listen and let her talk.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, because I do think, I try not to assume what she's thinking, because that always ends up getting me in trouble. But
well done, James. Well done. It took me like 15 years of being married to figure that out. You're way ahead of me.
But just internally, I do get the feeling that it's more of just like an escape thing.
Yeah.
Because she's mentioned to me in the past, like, actually exactly what you just said. She's said in the past, like, I'm lonely. I just feel lonely.
Yeah.
So I do feel like it's an escape from an escape to somewhere where she automatically has friends, kind of thing.
Well, and it's permissible, right? It's not permissible for a mom who's not talked to another adult for 3 years outside of her spouse. It's not permissible for her to just go running out into the night and not come back, right? People will frown upon that. And people frown upon any number of other solutions, like just going to hang out with some women twice a week, just some girlfriends, just to laugh and cut up and be silly and have interaction. People are like, oh, really? You're going to abandon your kids? And sometimes moms feel that. Like, I feel like I'm abandoning my kid. Or sometimes this isn't not you at all, but sometimes husbands are like, you need to, like, just jerks, right? So there is that. It feels like sometimes the only actual place to go where people won't beat you up too bad is, I'm going to go get a job. And so her knowing she's right, you're right there with her. And here's another, you know what, I'm going to take back a few things I said. You know what I would actually do first, James, if this is just me in your seat? I would reach out to a friend or a community member, somebody I trust. I would get a babysitter for 3 hours on a Saturday morning. So you figure this out. Somebody from a local church, somebody from a school, somebody who y'all used before, whatever. Or a grandparent come in or something. And you take her out and say, we have 2 beautiful babies, which means we have a whole brand new marriage. We get to decide what the next 2 years, next 5 years looks like. Let's rebuild an amazing marriage together. How can I love you in this season?
Okay.
And then just let her go. And she might say, I don't know, and be like, I know, but give me 1 or 2 things. Let's talk about it. How do you want this house to feel like when I walk home from work every day? How do you want this house to feel like when you wake up every morning? And James, it might be you get up an extra hour and you're knocking out the dishes, and you're having to get up an extra hour and a half early because you're going to get your exercise in, and you're going to knock out the dishes, and you're going to help with the first couple loads of laundry. And like, I can do that so that she can go visit some girlfriends. Or I'm going to come home early on Thursdays and Tuesdays, and while you're go hang out with your, like, whatever. We get to build what this thing looks like, and both of y'all are going to be exhausted for a season, right? It's winter. You can put coats on. It's going to be cold. Like, we're going to be exhausted together. What is that going to look like?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a good suggestion. I think a lot of it too is so we have kind of been well, not as much as I'd like, but we've kind of been following the baby steps for a couple years now. So I've had a side hustle, a second job, I was there for, gosh, I guess it's actually been probably more like 3.5 years. I had the second job for 3 years.
It may be time to pause.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but yeah, so that might be an element there
Well,
as
again,
well.
part of we get to rebuild, we get to redesign marriage 3.0 because y'all had a marriage when you got married. You had a new marriage when you had a kid, one. You have a new marriage now that you got two kids. In redesigning marriage 3.0, and by the way, I'm on marriage like 22.0, right? But marriage 3.0 a part of that is going to be financial discussion. Where do we want to be financially? We want to be do we want to have 1 year of scorched earth? We're both sobbing and miserable every night, but I'm working like crazy and we don't owe anybody any money? Is that what we want? Because we could do that and then have the rest of our lives. Or do we want to pause everything? We're not going to borrow any more money. We're not going to future chain our family. We're not going to chain future family to past choices. And so we are going to scratch and claw and drive crummy cars and whatever, but we're not going to go any further in debt. I'm not going to take any other jobs because you need support right now. I'm going to be here. You're going to go out with friends. We don't have any money for y'all to go like out having a few drinks, but y'all are going to go for walks. Y'all are going to go play car. Y'all are going to go do whatever. I don't know. Whatever y'all want to do. Y'all going to go do those things. And because for the next 9 months, I'm just going to park it here. And then when our kid's 1.5 years old and our kid's 4, then we're going to have a little bit more breathing room and we can make a new decision then. But it's sitting down and being honest about the finances, honest about your kids, honest about loneliness, honest about both of your hearts. What do y'all need from each other? And then making a commitment, high five, like bring it in, bro, hug. Like we are committing to this thing. And then we're just going to go make it happen. And if that's going back to work, it's going back to work. But it sounds like in this situation, it's just not being at home with a constant stress and pressure. And that's a very real pain. And by the way, James, she's also feeling the sense of what kind of mother doesn't want to be around her kid? What kind of mother gets exhausted holding her baby? That's the other tension here. She can't win. And so you coming alongside her and saying, I see you and I love you and I know you. I'm celebrating you. What do we want this thing to look like? Man, then it's game on.